Okay. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our last Zoom meeting for the month of board meeting for the month of January. So let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America, and to the
republic for which it
which
stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Before we get to the open podium, of course, I'd like to start out with our introductions. So with that, I'm Ed Theobald, Town of Manlius Supervisor.
Sarah Bollinger, Counselor.
John Deere, Town Councilor.
Elaine Denton, Town Councilor.
Karen Green, Deputy Supervisor.
Caitlin Creasel, Town Councilor.
Heather Waters, Town Councilor.
And our other town officials tonight is Chief Mike Kroll, Police Chief, of course, Highway Superintendent Rod Cushing, Town Attorney Tim Ferteski, Town Engineer Doug Miller, Town Manager Ann Oot, and Town Clerk Allison Weber. Our Code Enforcement Officer Randy Capriotti could not make it this evening. That is it with the introductions. So Allison, as we talked before the board meeting, and Sarah mentioned that regarding the open podium, which we began last week under the updated rules of decorum, do we have anyone out there that would like to address the board that we can see or hear?
Nothing in the Q&A just yet.
Right. We'll give it a little bit. I know we usually try to get an acknowledgement out ahead of time. We'll try to remember to do that going forward. Anything, Allison? I don't see anything.
Nope, there's nothing.
All right. If someone comes on later on, we can always ask them to address this at the next meeting if that's fine with everyone. With that, we'll move on to item 4, which is approval of the minutes January 6th and January 13th. So let's start with the January 6th.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the organizational meeting on January 6th.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried. Next, January 13th.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 13th board meeting.
And I will second that also.
Okay, and again, any discussion? With no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, opposed and carried. Very good. All right, and we'll move on to item 5, which is the approval of abstracts number 26 and number 2.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to approve abstract 2020 number 26 in the amount of $90,225.10.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right,
And
very
Mr.
good.
Supervisor, I'd like to also make a motion for abstract 2021-2 in the amount of $221,025.54.
No, second.
All right, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Excellent. Item 6. Okay, we're going to move on to the Brightview landscaping contracts. You have all of the documents in front of you. I think, Elaine, you want to take this one? I think you've had a chance to organize all that.
Yes, so we just have a small landscaping contract with Proscapes. We had a 2-year contract that expired last year, and they also changed to Brightview. So this is just a 1-year contract to continue some services mulch, edging, fall cleanup. And I did notice that the spring cleanup one isn't on there. Is that still okay? That's still
That's
just, it's just missing from the, well, it's just missing from the agenda.
It should be included in this,
That's
yeah.
okay.
oh, it's in there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
And I did reach out to a couple of other companies, but I wasn't able to get any other quotes. So yeah, so if we're all set.
Should we, Tim, should we do these individually? They are separate numbers, or do we do them all at one, under the same company? Since they're all doing it.
I think we can issue it to the company and then just list the
Okay,
the various contracts.
Oh, all right.
let's see if I can, let's see if this is good. Ready?
Yep.
I'd like to make a motion to have the supervisor sign the Brightview landscape contracts for mulching, edging, fall cleanup, pruning, and spring cleanup.
And
Perfect.
I second that motion. Elaine, they've done a great job in the past. We've had good luck with Proscape, so.
Any questions or discussions for Elaine on that at all? Just
I do have one question.
Sure.
Are sustainability elements being integrated into this contract as it relates to, you know, while it might not be visually appealing to a lot of people to have weeds that's good for bees and other elements, have they
Yes.
agreed to things like that?
So last year we did stop the pesticides. It was currently in our old contract. And then this year you see that we're approving different, the same services, but it does not include pesticides. So no pesticides.
Awesome. That's great news. Thanks so much for advocating for that.
Yeah.
And before I ask for a motion, and I've had individuals over the years ask me about that. So it's always good to get back to someone and say, yeah, we got rid of them. You know? So with that, all in favor?
Hi.
Okay. Opposed? Carried. Excellent. Okay. And the next one, I believe, Rob, this is in your ball court now. The item 7, actually 2 in a row here. The Integra contract, Integra, how you pronounce that? Am I doing that right?
Yep, actually, I need to clarify. Yeah, it's part of our drug and alcohol testing. Let me give a little background. Originally we were working with IMA, which was bought out by WellNow. And they did all of our drug and alcohol testing, which is mandated by the federal government. If you have more than 20 employees with CDL licenses, we're required to do random testing, and then post-accident tests, and any type of if we have any reason to believe in suspicion tests. So at this point, WellNow has been providing the service for us, but over the last couple of months with the COVID situation, I think everyone's aware that a lot of patients are going in either having the symptoms of COVID or having want to be tested for COVID. So it's really become a conflict for us because we're doing everything we can at this point to try and keep from being put into that environment. So unfortunately, there's been a lot of wait time, in the waiting rooms and that type of thing. So we're getting a little bit behind on our testing because, we're just not able to get in there and we're spending way too much time doing it. So we went out and looked at a couple different companies. Obviously, we found a company here locally, which is actually WorkRight, which is right over here on Route 5 and East Genesee Street, that will provide the services for us for everything that we need to have done, our drug and alcohol testing, our post-testing. They have a 24-hour service that they are available in case we have an accident, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever it may be. And they also have a mobile service if, in fact, we need to have them come to our facility. So price-wise per test, it's really reasonable. It's about the same as what we're paying right now for WellNow. And again, they're right here in our backyard. They're in the town of Manlius. So I would like to make the recommendation that we move our drug and alcohol testing with WorkRight at this point. There is no contract. Tim, I want to make sure you knew that we don't have it. They're not asking for us to sign a contract. So we can stop it at any time. And then if we would have to, we'd either go back to Well Now or another company that will provide us the same service. So I guess we'll need a motion. Tim, I don't know if we need a motion at this point because there's no contract, but certainly I think it would probably be the right thing to do is have a motion to agree to use Workright as our drug and alcohol testing company.
Yeah, Sarah, John, you working with Rob on this?
Yeah, so I would, yes, we talked about it. So I would make a motion to authorize the highway superintendent to engage Integra for their mandated drug and alcohol testing.
It's actually Workright, sir. I want to make sure you got that
Sorry.
right. It's Workright. Yep. Integra's a different company.
Heather, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to actually give kudos and say thank you so much for, I'm sorry you're having that and folks were having those problems, and we do not want anybody to be at higher risk. So it must have been it must be stressful. But also the fact that you were able to find a local company reasonably the same price and solve your problem. I just kudos and thank you.
Yeah, no problem, Heather. And again, we did not have a mobile service. They didn't come, Well Now never had the opportunity to come to us either. And I think that's, I mean, obviously it's more money for them to do that and we'll probably never use the service, but it's certainly there available for us. So.
Very good.
I'd be happy to make the second the motion too. I'm sorry, John. Looked like you were about to. Apologies.
Jen, did you have anything else you wanted to add or are we good? All set? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed and carried. Very good. And Rob, I guess we'll move right on to the highway permit for Brickyard Falls Road.
Yep. Actually, this is just a typical work in the highway agreement for working in our right of way. Onondaga County Water is wanting to do some upgrades to the 8-inch system from Brickyard Falls Road to Corey Road. So they're just going to do a betterment to our system. Obviously, they work with us all the time, but I just need a motion to have the supervisor's signature to the permit.
Yeah, we did one like this just didn't we? Yeah. Right.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Very good.
One more, Ed. This is a big one, but seeing as I'm still up, I might as well do this one too. So Allison's going to yell at me. I'm taking up way more of my own time here. So anyway, John and Sarah and I actually had a good opportunity to meet last week. We are, and of course, I've been working on this since about September, trying to put some specs together for a replacement of one of our 10-wheeled trucks for a plow truck. So we've gotten the packages together. We've got the cabin chassis and we've got the equipment ready to be purchased. They're both on county bid. So, and again, we did budget for this for a 2021 budget. And I think my urgency obviously is because it takes almost a year to get that equipment, built and brought on site. So again, we went through this on Friday. The cabin chassis is a 2022 International 6x4 chassis. And the price of that, I'll need a motion to just approve. And I guess it's Tim probably just do the equipment and the truck separately because that's how they're bid to us. So the cabin chassis price is at $117,208. So I'll need a motion for that.
So moved.
Do I have a
Second.
Second, Karen? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And carried. Any question, Elaine? Did you have a question?
I just had a question. So is this truck like replacing an older one or?
Yep. Yeah, Elaine, this is what this is actually one of our mainline trucks.
Okay.
Actually, John and Sarah were both there, kind of walked them through and showed them which one of the trucks that we're replacing. It's a mainline truck, does up in the hills, and we're replacing that truck. Now, I want to add too, and I told Sarah and John this, the last truck we sold just a cabin chassis for $60-some thousand is not an every, we don't do that every time we sell a truck, believe me. We did very well with that. But certainly that cabin chassis will be sold at auction probably next spring or early summer, whenever we get it broken down. Because we're actually using the sander that's coming off of that. So we'll be using some of those pieces of equipment going on to the new ones. So,
Thank you.
so anyway, moving on with the equipment for that, We are going to be looking at, again, it is a county bid price. We're looking at the Henderson plow package, which is basically what we've been using over the last 3 or 4 years. We've got really 2 type of equipments right now. We use American Snow plow is one of our major companies that we use, and then Henderson has kind of been on the bid for the last few years. So very comparable in equipment. And the price for that equipment, that includes all the hydraulic systems, the plow, the wing, the dump body, sander, all the hydraulics that go with it. And that price is $114,250. So we've got a total of $231,458, but I'll need the motion separately for the Henderson plow package at $114,250.
So move.
Second.
Any other discussion on that, or are we good with it? All right, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank
Opposed?
you very much, guys.
Sure.
And if you guys wanted to be really bored like Sarah and John last week going through some of these specs.
Rob, I've been through them with you.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. And I've taken you through them. So
Leave it up to Sarah and John now. That's great.
John paged through and was like 6 different quotes.
yeah. Thanks, guys.
Very good. Thank you.
That's all I
Randy.
have, man.
Since Randy's not here, we moved things around a little bit. Doug, we could fit you in there if you had anything for tonight.
Sure, Ed. I sent over information from New York State DEC for the Falcon View project. So you should be seeing that shortly. We received some additional requests from DEC for that work. So we filled it out on your behalf, and we get your signature. We'll get that turned around and sent in. And this week we also put the final touches on the Falcon View design and bid package and the Saber Lane bid package. I'll be going over both of those with Rob and Ann. They both have those documents. So we'll probably be seeing you shortly to get authorization to bid those. And we've also got the decoy run project just about done. We'll have surveyors out there next week just to get final contours on that. And a couple other odds and ends going on, but that's about it.
Okay, very good.
So yeah, we'll just coordinate Ed and we'll get that off. And you know, that's going to be our critical path with the Falcon View project, is just that permitting. I did speak with the Army Corps this week.
Oh, good.
With Maggie Crawford on that project. And Maggie, I told her it's very similar to what we did a few years ago.
Yeah.
So she appreciated that. And she said, hopefully that would expedite things on her end. So let's keep our fingers crossed. And
Yeah,
that's a critical project we have to get done sooner rather than later.
Okay, very good.
Okay. Yep. Yep.
Tim, do you have anything for us this evening?
Actually, I do. I sent around very late tonight a draft local law to make sure that we make it clear that the planning board has the authority to issue special permits for energy systems.
Oh,
I did the local law last year to change the special permits to the planning board. I never looked at the solar energy law, which has its own specific criteria in it, and it includes the town board for special permits. Making it reference section 155.27, which is the special permit law, which we amended. But I need to clean this up. So
so we need a public hearing, you're saying?
yeah. So if you just want to set a date for a public hearing for the next meeting, we can just make it clear that the planning board is also considering special permits for solar systems.
So that would be the 10th, is that right, that we're looking at?
I think that's what I put in there.
Yeah,
Right?
so I would make a motion to hold a public hearing on the solar permit law on February 10th on or about 6, let's say,
Well,
6:45, right? Because it's
yeah, let's go 6:45, right? On or about, yeah. Right. I need a second.
I'll second.
Kaylin, Is that you?
John, you're always just 2 seconds too late. to second the motion.
Well, you got it in there. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed and carried. Very good.
All right, John, you do the next one.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, Tim?
No, I know that we were talking a little bit at the last meeting about the zone change for the
Zone change?
self-storage on Manlius Center Road. The planning board reviewed it, is my understanding. Doug, you could speak to it. I don't know if you were at the planning board meeting, but I know they reviewed it and they had not made a decision on that yet. So I just wanted to report that.
So I have some information about that. The county will be reviewing that February 17th.
Oh, wow.
So we have a choice of holding the public hearing on the 10th, but not voting, or holding the public hearing and voting on the 24th. What are people's preference?
Do we have anything else for the 24th as far as public hearings go?
Not that I'm aware of. Nope. Yep. So maybe we should shoot for the 24th on that. Yeah.
My preference would be the 24th.
That we get a chance to look at the counties and the planning board
Right.
already too.
Right, so I'll make a motion to set a public hearing for the zone change from commercial A to commercial B on Route 290 for the 24th.
And I'll second that.
Of February.
of
Okay.
February.
All in favor?
At 6:35 or something like that.
45, right, yeah, thank you.
Right. And I think everybody was in favor. All opposed? Anyone opposed? No. So carried. Very good. All right. We good, Tim?
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And Allison, let's move on to you now. You've got your report we were talking about a little bit.
Yeah. I submit my annual report just for the town board to look at and accept. I'm not required by law to do it because we do have a town accountant on contract, but it's good measure. So those are all the revenues that my office took in for 2020. So, that includes building permit fees, dog licensing, marriage licenses, clerk fees, those types of things. Supervisor Theobald had asked before the meeting, and we actually in 2020 took in more revenue than we did in 2019, which was pretty shocking because when I pulled the numbers after the pandemic hit, we were behind pretty substantially, but we actually did about $11,000 more in revenue.
I'm wondering, just to throw it out there, with COVID, people being home a lot more, maybe a little more work on their properties, might have increased the permits, I imagine.
Exactly what I was thinking, Ed. People are sitting at home and they thought, let me build a shed. Like they just
Right. So.
What about pandemic puppies?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
more licenses. There you go.
Although I think mine is due, so you didn't get my $10 for this report, but you shall get it soon.
Sure.
I will never say whether I've been late with that or not. Okay, so don't feel bad. Do we need a motion to accept this? You're saying, Allison?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So
I'll make a motion to allow the supervisor to accept the town clerk's annual report for 2020.
I'll second it. Thank you for putting it together, Allison.
yes, very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Very good. Anything else, Allison? No.
Not unless you wanted to talk about the change to committees versus council roundtable.
Why not? I was wondering when to bring that up.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead. That'd be great.
So the state comptroller in a training that I attended a few years back recommends that they always want to see committees that are doing things issue reports. And I tossed out the idea and have recommended that, things like if there are committees that are going on, there are some committees that are temporary, there are some permanent committees, like we just formed the communications committee, there's comprehensive planning, sustainable Manlius. those are all typically things that the town councilors report on every single time. And so we could do committee reports instead of the town councilor roundtable. And that way, when you look forward or when you look backwards in the minutes, you'll be able to follow it a little bit easier than having to know that, at first it was Councilor Waters and then it was the next counselor and things of that nature. So I floated that idea out to everyone. Everyone seemed to be in favor of it. We're still working out some of the details of, is every committee going to report every time if there is nothing to report, and, how we'll administratively deal with that. But I think that's a change that we're looking at doing for the next meeting.
Allison, would that be a written report that we would prepare, or it would be instead of a roundtable where we summarize generally our activity, it would be more committee specific that we would give?
Yeah. You don't have to prepare a written report. I mean, as a clerk, I do love when, somebody has something they bring, like the police department always sends me memos that has like exact figures and stuff in it. So that's very helpful, but it could just be, it would say, police advisory committee. And then, Counselor Denton reported that the committee met and that XYZ is going to happen. And, it would be under that heading instead of Counselor Denton and then police advisory committee met.
Right. And we have the deer committee, the tree commission, so we have a lot of committees that I think that if we sort of pick the ones that have met recently, that those would be the report that we could add to the agenda. And just like everything, we would try to get that information outlined, whatever, ahead of time.
But that's what I was wondering, if we should notify Allison for the agenda meeting, our committee has something to report, because we don't need to report every single committee, every single meeting. That would be.
Correct.
Yeah, that's fine. If you just want to shoot me an email, we always have the agenda meetings the Friday before the meeting, just to allow all of the business to accumulate. So I can take that to the agenda meeting.
Right. Yeah, that would work.
I do feel very strongly that next year John should be on the deer committee just to amuse the minutes in perpetuity. I feel very strong.
Actually, I've never actually heard that joke before. It's very funny. Very original.
Yeah, that's a first, isn't it?
I'm just saying, came up. You can't let those things slide by, John.
I'm going to sign off now from this discussion. So whatever you guys want to do with it.
I think we're done with the levity, Caitlin. For now, anyway. Yeah, thank you, Alice. And like I said, I was wondering when we were going to fit that one in there under me or who. So we can move on now. Chief, what do you have for us tonight?
Just a couple things. Today I had another meeting with countywide initiative on Executive Order 203, met with the county executive, the district attorney, city mayor, and we're coming to a finalization on that plan where we're going to be able to offer a draft initiative that's going to be set forward. So continue to work on that. Last week, I made a conditional offer of employment to a new employee, prospective employee, condition on medical. So more on that for the next meeting. We're still trying to fill 4 vacancies at the police department. We're down 4 police officers. So Captain Schaefer and the crew have been working diligently over the last 3 days on this selection process. Just to give the board an idea, we canvassed over 200 people from the civil service list. Of those 266 were screened, initially screened, and indicated that they're interested and then screened. Of that screening process, we ended up with 37 people that will go on to a panel interview process.
Okay.
We'll be busy over the next 3 days with the panel interview process. It starts tomorrow, continues on Friday, and then our last day of screening, or the panel anyways, is going to be Monday. So a lot of work going into that. And then lastly, course, February is right around the corner. We're going to be starting our February in-service training program, and we start February 3rd. So that's all I have.
Go ahead, Heather.
Chief, thank you so much for that report. I have a quick question. If someone's, it must be a lot of work. If someone's already serving and they have their own schedule for work and they want to apply for this a position and they want to, to be, how do you coordinate? How do you logistically coordinate getting everybody in front of you all? I'm curious to know what's involved.
Well, it's very difficult. Captain Schaefer has been doing a phenomenal job on trying to schedule those things. We have made some exceptions in the past where somebody has a conflict and it's a conflict that is acceptable. Two of the folks that we're going to be doing the panel, they have a conflict both with COVID and with work conditions. So we open that up to a virtual interview, which we don't prefer, but we have to make it available. And then the other exceptions is we have X amount of days to schedule these folks, and they have a decent open window to be able to come in and do the next step.
Thank you.
It's scheduling nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Sounds tedious, that's for sure. Okay. Thank you, Chief. Any other questions for the Chief? Okay. All right. Ann, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just wanted to report that we made the final payment on the window ban on the debt service. So happy to report that the town of Manlius has no outstanding debt, which is great.
That's a great report. Thank you. Okay, and now we'll go around the board. Let's go back the way we were. Heather, we can start with you.
Sure. I just want to remind everyone that this Sunday at 3 we have Third Time's the Charm, our history session. These are again designed to be opportunities for people who are interested in comprehensive planning amongst our stakeholder group, our constituency, our neighbors, for them to get on the same page about things related to our town. We had our environment, our economy, and now we're doing our history. We have town historian Barbara Rivette coming in, and this format will be different than the others. Barbara will be in town hall. She'll have some images. I'd love to screen share really briefly, actually, to show you an image that will be featured that she'll be talking about. Mm-hmm. That would be okay, Allison. Let me try. Oh, there we go. Let's see if I can do it. There we go. So here's a picture of the Merrill Sewell factory, canning factory in Fayetteville. They had one from 1868. G. Lewis Merrill and Oscar F. Sewell had a Syracuse factory. They expanded to Fayetteville and Chittenango, and they did everything. They had corn. They made mincemeat really famous across the country, and they did powdered milk too. So it should be very interesting because this family was really important to our commercial history and also to the Erie Canal. But we'll have pictures related to our history that will help tell the story of our history. And we're looking forward to it. It will be 3 p.m. broadcast to Facebook, our page, our town page on Facebook, the one that you're watching this broadcast on. And we are also going to be communicating about our partnership, and Sarah will be joining for the session, of course, too, on Sunday. And we'll be communicating with everyone about where we are with comprehensive planning and our new partners, Barton and Lujudas. So more to come. Thank you.
Very good. That's always interesting, the history of the town and the 3 villages. Okay, John, you're up.
So nothing major to report. We do have our first communications committee going on this Friday. Looking forward to that. And there's a couple little things. Civil space is one of the things that we included in the budget going to look forward to setting that up. That'll be a major part of our comprehensive plan in reaching out to folks. We're also planning on using it for larger projects that the planning board are dealing with or that we're dealing with. So looking forward to getting that set up. And I've been talking honestly to a lot of just vendors lately about other pieces of technology that, you know, they think is useful, and been fielding a lot of that. And yeah, it's been interesting. Some really good pitches, some pretty bad ones. But you know, really just looking forward to, you know, even if we don't pull the trigger on something now, knowing what our options are as we kind of move and evolve, especially with whatever this year looks like, but just making sure we're prepared for all that and we know our options.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you. Elaine, do you have anything for us this evening?
Yeah.
Of course you do.
Allison kind of covered it. I was going to report that the Public Safety Advisory Committee met.
Yes. Okay.
So we met last week, and that meeting is on our Facebook page. If you missed it, you can still watch it. I also attended, and I know many of people here attended the county community the forum that they had last Wednesday as well. And all of the county's forums are on their website at policereform.ongov.net. So if you wanted to watch them, you can. And the last update I have is that we have been looking into our zoning code for small animals like chicken and small goats, and we should have an update at our next meeting.
Very good. Elaine, I might mention, I watched that meeting they had Monday, and I want to commend the chief. He answered an awful lot of questions along with the chief of DeWitt, and I think the sheriff did as well. Very informative. Believe it or not, I did not say anything during this meeting at all. It was just an observation and listening. It was really, it was well attended, and there's a lot of interesting questions and some excellent replies that I thought that everyone gave as well. So nice job with that. So.
And I'll add, Supervisor, that Elaine did an extremely good job really diving in on this chicken and goat situation, and that Tim also sincerely did a fantastic deep dive on chicken and goats. It was a privilege to be in that meeting. I didn't have very much to add, but I just felt privileged that I was able to attend.
Darn, I missed that one.
It was, if you had attended that, I bet you would have had something to say.
Well, I've been biting my tongue. Very good. And do you have anything, Caitlin? You're all set, Elaine? You're good with that? So Caitlin, you're up. Yes.
I have a couple of things, and I'll try to keep it brief. I have an update on the Clean Energy Communities Initiative, as well as the Climate Smart Communities Initiative. I met last week with our community chair, Ryan Dunn, along with Ann and Doug and Allison and Amanda Mazzoni of the Central New York Regional Planning and Development Board, and it was very productive. And I do have a resolution that I'll be making in my summary this evening. We are moving quickly toward the Climate Smart Communities Initiative and becoming, I can never keep the language straight, but we are already a climate smart community, but there's like another level up where we're like endorsed by the DEC essentially. So we're working toward that. And there's a lot of initiatives that we've already done that we'll be able to get credit for, including some of the listening sessions that Sarah and Heather helped to put on this past fall, and work that Doug has done in the past with the ESF. So Manlius really has done quite a bit. And so it's just a matter of gathering all of that. So thank you, Ann and Allison and Doug, for all of your help on that front. And then finally, we have the Clean Energy Communities Grant program has been released. And I'd encourage you all to look into that. I received an email on yesterday or Monday, I believe, that I'll make sure that I forward to all of you that enumerates how much money the town can qualify for. And we will, right off the bat, we qualify for a $5,000 grant. And in looking at it a little bit further, I think that we could qualify for several other $5,000 grants. So some money will be coming to the town, which is really fantastic news, that we can be taking these efforts towards environmental sustainability and getting grant money awards as a as an outcome for that. So great news. Very happy to finally hear about that. And I'll be working with Amanda at the planning board and with Ryan, our community chair, to start applying for some money. So very excited to finally get that. The resolution that I have this evening is pretty simple. And Tim, I might need your help just making sure that I say this correctly. I have it up here. So the action that we're doing tonight is it's one of the Climate Smart Communities actions, and it's recycling bins in government buildings. And so again, we get a couple points and sometimes several points depending on the action that we take. And so this is something that the town is already doing, where right next to every garbage can, we have a recycling bin. And my favorite thing that Allison is currently working on is that she's going around taking pictures of all of the recycling bins in town hall. So thank you, Allison, for your.
It's all done, so.
I knew you would get that done. You're like, it's going to take a couple weeks. I'm like, no, she'll have it done by board, I'm sure.
Oh, great.
So to get credit for this, we need to submit evidence that the local government has a policy requiring placement of recycling bins wherever there is a trash bin. And this can take the form of a resolution, an executive memorandum or order, or it can be a part of the employee handbook. So this evening, I would like to make a motion that we pass a resolution requiring the placement of recycling bins wherever there is a trash bin. That sound good, Tim?
Yep.
Okay.
So do we have that in writing then, Tim, the resolution?
No, it'll be an oral resolution that will be in the minutes.
Okay.
It'll be in the minutes.
Very good. So you made a motion, Caitlin?
I'm happy to second it.
Okay.
Elaine, I put my hand down. Elaine put her hand up.
Second.
Let's let Elaine have a second because she's my second on sustainable Manlius. So she'll.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
For
Opposed?
as long as we'll be recycling.
Yes, good point, Heather. That was carried. Very good. All right. Anything else,
Thank you,
Caitlin?
everybody. And that's all for me. I've kept it brief this evening.
Well, I'll tell you, any grant money, any revenue that comes back to taxpayers, I'm all for. So I don't care how small it is.
And that's what I'm saying. So environmental sustainability pays. There is a return on investment.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm very Machiavellian on this. However you get there, it's fine with me.
Yeah. Excellent.
Thanks so much.
Sarah, you are up next.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I do have also some board action to take. As we discussed previously, we're going to be doing a cycle of rebidding various contracts, and the first one to come up is for our engineering services. So everybody has seen a draft of the letter of interest. It's not a binding contract, it's just a letter of interest for engineering firms to express if they are interested, and then we would go to contracting thereafter. But I do want permission to have Manager Oot release that, and with a due date that's in mid-February.
What's the date you said?
I think it's February 16th, 19th, I think, actually.
19th, that will be getting replies by then, is that what you're saying?
By the 19th, yeah. Then we'll review them, and then we'll do interviews like we did for the other one and go from there.
Very good. All right. Anyone have any?
Yeah, Mr. Supervisor, Sarah, I had a question on that, and maybe Tim can clarify. In regard to planning and development, I noticed item number 4, where this person would work with the planning board and the codes enforcement officer and attend meetings, so on and so forth. It has been my understanding, Tim, that the planning board selects their own engineer, which they do at the beginning of the year. They have their own organizational meeting, just like we do.
Yeah, so that's true. Traditionally, the town of Manlius has had the town attorney also be the planning board attorney, and the town engineer also be the planning board engineer, just for consistency's sake. But ultimately, the planning board has the right to hire its own professionals. When I looked at the RFP. I assume that we were going to put it out, and when you do it for the attorney, you're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna put it out for all services, and determine ultimately whether or not it makes sense from a holistic town standpoint to do it that way. But it is true that the planning board ultimately has its choice of its professionals.
I would also say, Karen, we did review all, how other towns have done it. And some towns have separate attorneys and separate engineering firms entirely, and other ones do it integrated. So I think either one can work. So there's no assumption of the final outcome. We just wanted people, if they were interested in this work, to let us know that they are.
Yeah, I just didn't want it to be misleading to whomever it's going out to, Sarah, so that they'll have a thorough understanding of how it all works.
Right, and I also think that there's a responsibility we have for some continuity on some of the projects in process that we need to consider, both from the point of view of some work that the town is doing on the town engineer side and also on the planning board side.
Right, right. Yeah, and I know, Sarah, you and I both reached out to Association of Towns. I dug in some of my old files. So we did some quite a bit of research. I know you did it a little more. We did reach out to other towns. We got some other input from them. So again, this is pretty solid, but there's some flexibility there that we'll be working with, I think, is the bottom line here with that. So, so Sarah, you any other discussion on this? Otherwise,
Anybody have any questions for me about that?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So we need. Did you make a motion?
So I made a motion. If
Oh, okay. Okay. So, Heather, you look like you have a question or not. Okay. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And carried. Very good. Anything else, Sarah?
no, thanks.
Okay. Very good. And Karen, you are up.
No, I'm all set tonight. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I'm good.
Very good. I only have really one thing I wanted to, I'm not sure if I was able to reach out to everybody or not, but we did get word from comptrollers from the Association of Towns that it looks like there will be on our AIM contribution or sales tax payment this year, a 20% reduction of what we normally get. Now we were ahead of the curve there a little bit because we actually went 30% of 112, I think it was, or whatever it was. And I believe the amount they gave us was a little over 111. So that puts us in a good place, you know, but it was good that we really worked on that to make sure
Yeah.
we didn't, you know, do
We
or something.
talked about that a lot. Just that percentage was like hours of our meeting.
I know.
I actually have another tidbit about that. Thank you for saying that, Ed. And that was very good news when I saw that. But I also heard just yesterday that the 20% withhold that we got for the highway money, the CHIPS money, their plan now is to refund us 15% of that.
Okay. Okay.
So we will get some of that money back.
But I think going forward, and Rob, you can help us with this. I think next year or this year, are we looking at 20% for this year too, Sarah? Are you referencing last year?
This was last year's money that they withheld from an existing contract.
And rumor has it this year they'll do 20 this year possibly. Is that right,
Yes.
Rob? I know.
Yeah, they're saying between 15 and 20% right now, Ed. But just for some good news, they did reinstate the Bridge New York to 200 million back into Bridge New York already. I think a lot of it is determining what the federal government's going to give the state. So at this point, it's kind of up in the air. And just as a reminder, obviously, February, March, we'll be advocating for CHIPS funding here again. And we do not have a 5-year contract with the state no longer. So that's one, we're trying to get our talking points together now from the state association's perspective. And obviously that's one of them. But there is some good news coming in, you know what I mean? At least the governor just released quite a bit of information on his plans as far as the trying to give the state back some funding for roads and bridges. So hopefully it works into our favor going into the year.
Yep. Very good. All right, that was all I had. I just wanted to give an update on that and no supervisor's report, so we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed? And carried. Very good. Thank you,
Good night,
everyone.
everyone.
Good
Good
night.
night, everyone.
Thank you.
Uh,